Just going to give it a few minutes here. So, good evening, everyone. It is Wednesday night. And so that means that it is Wisdom Wednesdays. It's when I come live on all of the social media outlets. We know that February is all about falling in love with your business again. And so today we're going to cover a few things as to, why most people run away from the big topic at hand. So it's day 51, but it's still not too late to make an adjustment in your business. And also, it's not too late to refocus or gain focus on your business. So just give me a few seconds here. All right. So again, I am Natalie Cousins. I am a business consultant primarily to the interior design and real estate industry. And I wanted to just give a little background on who I am, where I'm from, and how I came into the business. So essentially, I started off in the design industry in 2000. I went to the International Academy of Design and Technology for interior design. And soon after that, I graduated and I landed myself a very lucrative opportunity to work with a design firm, a boutique design firm, actually. And so I was given a very good opportunity fresh out of fresh out of design school. And so I decided to go and work for a boutique firm. Thereafter that, I found that I was just countlessly being stuck in the fabric room where my talent wasn't being displayed very well. And so I quickly decided to go ahead and move on to starting my own business. So a little bit of a background: I'm a fourth generation entrepreneur. My great grandmother and my grandmother, as well as my parents, have all owned businesses. And at the end of the day, I grew up in our family business. So at the end of the day, that's where my hustle and my grind comes from, is because I have always been in a family business. So at the end of the day, let's talk about why I brought up not the conversation or topic of hand today. So a lot of my clients that I've been speaking to, when we first meet and we're going through our consultation, they'll say to me, I know that I need you. I'm just not sure when I need you, or what point in my business do I need you. And then some will say, I'm starting out, but I don't think that I'll need you until I've grown. So again, the importance of knowing where you need a consultant or a coach in your business is one of the primary things that you need to focus on, because a lot of us think that we need it once we've been in business for 3, 4, or 5 years. And in fact, it's probably better to plan ahead of time versus once you get busy. But that being said, if you are the type that for whatever reason you don't want to necessarily get a coach or a consultant in the beginning of your business, it's always okay to also press the reset button. But I'm saying this to say that when I go back and I do an evaluation with some of my most successful clients, they actually say that they're happy that they actually hired me, earlier on in the process to help them streamline their business, because at the end of the day, they couldn't imagine what they would have done if it was later. especially when you're in real estate. It's like as your business starts to grow, it's going to be hard to walk away or step back because your clients get affected, your pipeline gets affected. So it's very important that we set these things up ahead of time. I guess my big point with this whole thing is doctors need doctors. Psychiatrists are told that they need to see their own psychiatrist because they're dealing with other people's problems. So at the end of the day, as a business owner and you're an expert in your own field, why don't you have somebody that you turn to in terms of keeping your business in check and in line? So as a business consultant, I fix, fill, or change problem areas in your business by simplifying it because I have an objective and an outside point of view. So even myself, I have my own coach. And at the end of the day, the things that they're recognizing in me are things that I probably don't even recognize myself. And the reality of it is when it's pointed out to you, just like in a relationship with your friend or your spouse, and they point something out to you that is dead on wrong, reality hits you and then you take it offensively. Okay? Everything that I look into can be from your billing inefficiencies to brainstorming products, services, or ideas for your business, as well as I'm non-judgmental in terms of the aspect of where I'm coming from. I'm offering you clarity, I'm offering you perspectives, and I'm also offering you systems. So at the end of the day, sometimes we are in business and we turn to our spouses to be able to get their opinion on it. And depending on how active or how involved they are in your business, they might not be able to give you the answer that you're looking for, or it may be so blunt that it creates blockages for you because you're not ready for those opinions. So there are many different points in your business where you can actually hire me instead of not hiring me. The first one I want to talk about today is being your accountability partner. Sometimes you need someone that you are able to set goals or set deadlines for, and at the end of the day, you need to be able to have an accountability partner that can check in with you and make sure that you're meeting those deadlines. So if you have a plan in place, if you're creating any signature products or services, utilizing me as your accountability partner is probably a wise investment. And I say this to say that we tend to work more efficiently when we know that there's a deadline looming. The only problem is it's so easy to ignore if you set your own deadlines, and that's what the problem is. So, for instance, if I know that dinner is supposed to be at 6, and I know that I've got to get the kids at 5, and I know that there's nobody else to get them, I'm like working right till 4:59 and then rushing to get out to get them because I can change the deadline or I can set my own pace. But if I knew that somebody was dropping them off at 5, well, then I would be a little bit more stringent on my time, right? To be able to say, okay, I've definitely got to be done by 5. So rather than moving your deadline further and further away, when you hire me as your accountability partner, you get to keep your productivity on track. So I think that that's one of the most important things that we need to focus on when we think about accountability partners. Accountability is necessary in many instances, not just for product and services creation. So, for instance, I have an accountability partner. She's not in the same line of work as myself, but we talk once a week and we are able to keep track of what we said we were going to do. Did we get it done? What caused us not to be able to reach our goals? So on and so forth. Okay? Accountability is necessary. Whatever goals you set for yourself, I, as your accountability partner, hold you solely responsible for meeting those deadlines. Okay? So that's the first thing. So we're in day 51, and it is the beginning of it's the middle of the first quarter. We're headed into March next Thursday. And so we're still saying to ourselves, have we obtained the numbers that we are looking to obtain? Do we know what our quarterly incomes are? Do we know what it is that we need to focus on? When we look at being able to have a guide, I could be your guide, right? As a business consultant, I have the ability to challenge you, okay? Challenge you on your thinking and challenge you on your goals. and it's non-threatening and it's non-judgmental. So that's the main thing that I want to come across here. Instead of staying inside your comfort zone and cushioning yourself, I encourage you to explore what you fear. And in an effort to fight what you fear, we also talk about trying something new. So I remember when I was so afraid to do Facebook Lives, like when I would speak to my coach, or when I would say to her, I'm watching you online and I definitely just don't know how you do it and you stay consistent with it. She was just like, you got to do it. If you want to get out there and if you want to be able to talk to people, you got to be able to do it. Hey, Anne. So at the end of the day, you got to get rid of fear. There's fear in many different things. I remember when I first started driving, I was 17 turning 18 at the time. I had just bought my first car and I would never take the highway because I was afraid, especially with driving at night. When I would look in the rearview mirror, I would see all these lights coming towards me and I would try to avoid driving on the highway because I was afraid. So one day, my now husband, I didn't know it was a highway that we were going on, but he had me driving and he was directing me. And then he looked at me and he said, you're on a highway. And it kind of was how I got rid of my fear, was because when you're placed in a uncompromised situation where you have no choice but to be bold and be strong, immediately fear comes out the way and you start to build on your confidence. So we got to get rid of the fear of following our dreams, sticking to our goals, and having a guide to be able to get us where we have to go, right? You also have to still break down large tasks into smaller tasks so they don't seem intimidating. So I know the other day I was in a conversation and, when I look back, it's true. I have a lot of things on my to-do list. My to-do list was all just in one book, in one place, and I wasn't necessarily separating what was my personal life versus my business life. So it just all seemed like it was coming at me at one place. And then from there, I started to say, okay, even though I know that I have to do this, let me separate it. And let me start putting timelines on it so that way I'm able to get these things ticked off faster instead of trying to avoid the list because it's so much. Also, I want to jump into saying that I can be your mentor. See, a lot of times we think that the mentor is somebody who is hard to reach or hard to get into a place, but hire me as your mentor. I want to be that person because with the amount of things that I have been through and I have channeled and made positive in my business, I am able to use my life and business experiences to share with you how you can surpass your issues and get to a higher level, right? I teach you the skills that you need to be successful based off real life experiences. So at the end of the day, if somebody doesn't know what it is to have blockage, if somebody doesn't know what it is to struggle, if somebody doesn't know what it is to juggle being a mother, raising 2 kids and trying to juggle working from home, dealing with the lunches, dealing with the extracurricular activities, how can they relate to you? How can they relate to you if they have not fallen 3 or 4 times in their business and have gotten back up and overcame all the obstacles? How can you relate to them if they don't even know what the type of business it is that you do? And that is the main reason why I streamline my business and I focus and I hone in what I know best. I hone in on my design and my real estate community. I firsthand have experience over a decade and a half in terms of what it is to be a new realtor starting off in a new territory where I didn't know anyone. I was new to the city and I basically had my family to feed, so I had to pound the pavement and do what I had to do. I know what it is as a designer to start off in the industry where the trades and things are being hidden from you and nobody wants to share how to be able to have it viable. Now all of a sudden it's a common trend for everybody to be wanting to share, but their sharing is different. I can relate to you in terms of going into a bathroom, closing the door and crying because you don't want your family to see that you're frustrated because you are trying, right? So you need somebody that you can relate to. You need a mentor who you can go to, a mentor that is transparent with you and is going to be able to tell you the reality of a business. And the reality of being an entrepreneur or self-employed is that it's not easy. It's not easy. And I can tell you firsthand that even if you do buy a franchise from $1 million company and you've invested your life savings, if you don't follow the systems and if you don't follow the processes, and if you don't have a system in place, that business too can fail. If it's not in the right location, that business can fail. So choose me as your mentor. Lastly, when you hire me, your plan gets started ahead of time and it gets you back on track. And I say this to say that one of the first lessons that I do with anyone that works with me is we hone in on a business plan. And that's what February has been all about for me, is getting everyone to plan on what they need for their business. It doesn't matter what stage you are in. I know tons of clients that when I first met them, they didn't have a business plan in place. They've been in business for 3 or 4 years. They've been in business for 10 years. They've never had the need to have a business plan, and they've just been flying at the seat of their pants. I'm here to tell you that's where burnout and that's where overwhelm comes from. I can also tell you firsthand that if you knew me when I was 18, I was a very cocky individual. I was saying that I was going to be a millionaire at 30. I was able to attain and attract the things that I wanted in my life based off my belief system. But at the end of the day, I didn't have a system in place. I knew specifically that I wanted to live here. I knew specifically that I wanted a specific car to drive. These were all things, yes, they were on a vision board, but at the end of the day, I didn't have a plan. And that's the biggest thing for us. A lot of us are sitting in our space right now. We're reevaluating our lives. We've been in corporate jobs. We've been there for a couple of years. That job is now starting to have us feel burnt out, and it's starting to have us feel overwhelmed. And so we're now trying to sit down and we're trying to evaluate our life and say, my goodness, what is my purpose? What do I enjoy doing? And at the same breath and at the same time, we're still not even disciplined to take a pen to a paper and be able to write it down and be able to say, I see where I want to be in 3 years. And my question to you is this: why is it so easy for you to plan a vacation and to take your family on a family vacation? And you know all the places that you want to see when you get there. You research everything about Paris, or you research everything about going to Rome or Barcelona. But you cannot research and put anything or a plan into action about your business. Something that has to do with your life and that's going to carry you through. That's a big question. And so I say to you this: you want to provide a starting point and an end point. And I'm very clear and I'm very big on this, and I said this last week. Think of when there was no GPS. I remember being 18 or 19. I used to always drive to New York City by myself, and there was no GPS for me at the time. My father went and he bought me this big map book. And he took the map book and he highlighted from Toronto, Ontario, right through the Buffalo border to get me all the way to Far Rockaway, Queens. And he told me, if ever you get lost, you need to figure out where true north is, and you need to turn your map to true north and follow the journey on the map. Well, thank God for navigation at this stage of the game. But imagine me sitting on the I-90 trying to figure out what happened. I got off to get gas. I didn't know north, south, east, or west. And my husband used to always say, you got to know the direction. You got to know where you're going. How do you not know where you're going? And I stand here years later and I cannot stress how important it is enough to know what your vision is. Where do you see yourself going? Because if you don't see where you're going, there's no destination. Right now, for you to be able to use that navigation system, there is a starting point and there is an end point, and we need that for our business. So the reality of it is, you might be in business right now. You might be in business for, the last 4 years. Business is going well. You've got steady clients, but you still don't have a lucrative plan to say, I want to be here in my business within 6 months and I want to be here. And the reason why I'm so emotional about this is because I know what my downfalls were in my life in my early years. And I know even up to last year, I was still struggling on where I actually saw myself and where it is that I wanted to be. And I knew that it wasn't in a cubicle sitting in an office. I knew that it wasn't, driving from house to house without a plan. I know what my purpose is. I know what I'm serving. And that is why the importance of laying out this plan for yourselves makes it more fulfilling. So if setting up a business sounds daunting to you, that's fine, because it can be scary for everyone when they are looking at where they truly want to be with their business. And then they say to themselves, I'm confused. I don't know where I want to be. The time is now. And it's not too late to sit down, focus, and get a plan in action and say to yourself, I am ready to commit to growing a viable business. So what I have for you guys is my on-demand webinar, and it talks about why you need a six-figure business plan. It talks about why it's your business, and if you don't plan, you're planning on failing, okay? I discuss how I will keep you focused on your next action steps and why taking this action is so vital and important if you want to reach serious goals, okay? Hey, Tamara. I also break down how you can overcome overwhelming tasks and double action steps and how to improve your productivity. So one of the common things that I'm seeing right now, and it took years for it to be tapped into my head, was delegation and outsourcing. So I was afraid to outsource, and I was the type of person that I wanted to do everything, but there was a method behind the madness. I wanted to build my own website because at the end of the day, if my assistant comes along and I want a picture, I want something changed, I didn't want to have to go to my web designer and say, okay, I need 3 pictures changed. But now I have an assistant. If I want to change my images or my pictures, I can just forward the pictures and say, I need these in these placeholders. Because the time that it takes me to sit down and make those changes or do those changes, I could have been on to income generating activity. So it's a good thing that we talk and we get to improve our productivity. Lastly, I wanted to say that there is never a bad time to reevaluate and analyze your business, okay? It doesn't matter the stage, it doesn't matter the process, it doesn't matter the time when you choose to do it. If you honestly can look at yourself right now and say to yourself, I'm torn between where I need to be, where am I headed, and where am I going? Pause. Think of the steps that you took and the steps that you didn't take. And it's simple. There's pros and cons, right? There's pros and cons to you going and working with another client. There's pros and cons to going and taking a test for something. There's pros and cons of why you shouldn't leave your job to take another job. There's pros and cons in everything. So what are the pros and cons in your business right now? Okay? What are you going to fundamentally focus on that is going to leave you knowing where you want to be in your business? Okay? I offer the complimentary discovery calls. They are good for everyone who wants to be able to sit down for at least a half an hour and say, okay, Natalie, these are the struggles and these are the issues that I'm facing in my business. And we sit and it's like a coffee conversation. The difference is it's virtual. Unless you're in Toronto and you want to be able to meet with me face to face, then that is. But I touch and I reach internationally. And lastly, I want to say that sometimes if you don't feel that you have a support system, if you don't feel like the people around you or the people in your circle understand where or what it is that you're trying to do, you're not alone. There's one in every family. There's one in every circle of friends that just, you are the one person that is trying to grow and be out of the norm, and that person's still stuck in their particular chains and their particular shackles. And the great thing that I always say is none of us are alike, okay? We all were put on this earth to do things different. That one friend is not able to be self-employed or able to offer a service. That might be because they haven't found their passion. They haven't found what is so good about them and what they can give to serve. The other friend might be going through a bad relationship and he or she may not want to be able to hear your happy part that you are now embarking upon this new step in your life. So what do you have to do? If you don't fit in the hula hoop, you got to get out and go to one that you fit into. So it's your circle. I had a friend who always used to tell me, if you hang out with crap, you're going to be crap and you're going to feel like crap. But if you hang out with successful and motivational people, you start to become successful and you start to become that motivated individual. So the other thing that I want to say is, figure out your circle, figure out your supportive people and who they are, and cling to them in your dark times and in your time of needs. And it's also good to also be around people who can identify with you the struggles where you are going and also be able to motivate you. It's very, very important that you do that. This wasn't an easy road for me. I've yet to begin to tell my full entire story of leaving that design firm that had me stuck in the fabric room. I have yet to tell you my journey of going over and working for clients where it was hard to collect the check, right? There are so many obstacles. So as you see me here being strong, confident, and being able to educate you, there are a lot of layers that I had to peel back to be able to say, my purpose is here to serve individuals and have them avoid what it is that I went through. And if my friends know me and they know me well enough, they know that whatever I went through in life that caused heartache and frustration for me, my goal is that they don't go through that. And so that's all I wanted to say is fall in love with your passion, hone in on what it is that you like to do, find that purpose, stick to it and get to it. It is hard. The road is so hard. It's like driving down that highway with no lights. Because, I do a lot of long distance driving and I can't tell you enough, especially driving in the US, the major interstates at certain points don't have lights. You're just relying on your headlights. It's like driving in the middle of February and the snow is coming down at night and all you're seeing is white. Your vision is blocked. You're not able to see. But because you have faith and tenacity, you're able to get from point A to point B and you have your determination. So again, I'm Natalie Cousins. As usual, catch me here every Wednesday night at 8:30. I hope, as always, that my information that I provide you serves you purpose and substance. Direct message me if you have any questions, like, subscribe, and watch. And again, go ahead and take advantage of my on-demand webinar, Why You Need a Six-Figure Business Plan. It's been a pleasure tonight, and you guys enjoy the rest of your week. Bye for now.